What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You are now tuned into week 6 of Two Pros and an Average Joe and One Average Child. That's Jeremy Koling. Since I mentioned Jeremy Koling already, why don't you introduce yourself, Jeremy?
Hey, my name's Paul Ulibarri. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and just chilling.
Are you in Shola with a man bun?
Yep, got a man bun, got a little dirty stash going. Just sometimes you gotta put some avocados in there and eat them later. So just
Wow, you guys are really cool and funny at the same time. That's crazy. Material. That's what you guys are made of. Material.
Oh man.
I do have a man bun. I'm not in Sholo. And I do have a pretty dirty stash going right now. I am Paul Ulibarri.
Well, the real Paul Ulibarri, please stand up.
Thanks for joining us.
But not to take too big of a blow early, but I don't think Germ is even capable of growing a man bun.
Oh man.
Yep.
Dude, if you pulled my hair back and pulled it into any sort of bun, it would be the funniest looking thing ever seen by any human eye ever.
You'd look like Cindy Lou Who.
This is a true story. I literally one time went into a Hooters. I never go to Hooters. I went into Hooters, didn't have my wallet, and I needed a beer because I was like, I'm at Hooters, I gotta have a beer. And the waitress is like, I'm sorry, I can't serve you beer unless I see your ID. I literally took my hat off and I pulled my hair back and I said, look at this hairline. Tell me there's one 20-year-old in the world with a hairline like this. And she looked at me, she started laughing. She went to her manager and she said, this guy's got a pretty legitimate identification. And he's like, what is it? She said, hey, take your hat off. I took my hat off, showed him my hairline. He's like, yeah, give that man a drink right now.
That's awesome.
So, if you're ever in a pinch and you have a high hairline, don't be afraid to show it off. You might get a drink.
Oh, all right. So,
that was a good little burn there, though, Paul. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yep, I got you, man. I got you. I have material too.
Good.
Got
what's up, America?
Oh my gosh.
How are you all doing tonight?
All right, don't forget about Finland. Finland's tuning in.
Take the wheel, buddy.
What's going on?
You're running the show now. You're in charge for the rest of the show.
Oh, right before the show started, I want everyone to know that we've decided that Paul Ulibarri is going to be the new Average Joe. So we're going to be looking for our new pro because we're kicking Brady out.
Damn it.
Or Brady, you can just get really good and then you could be the pro again.
Yeah, that's not likely.
It's tough out there, man. Stuff's getting tough.
What'd you do this week, Paul?
I actually had an awesome weekend. I went up to my parents' house, which was in Sholo. I played an ice bowl event.
How'd that go?
To see my family. The ice bowl event went okay. I got 4th place, but it was a good 4th place because I was in last place after the first round. So it was pretty good. I got an ace. And I
called ace, I believe. All right.
Yep, I called my ace and I aced it, which was good in front of a bunch of people. It was right where Tournament Central was. So
including the current world champion, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, Ricky Wysocki was there, and I told him I was going to ace it, and then I aced it. It was pretty awesome.
Always good to get a little ace in the face on a world champion. You just let them know, you mean business.
Yeah, I monkey pawed like a 12-footer on the hole before, and for some reason,
and bring them right back down.
When I miss short putts or really mess up, like I ace a lot right afterwards because I'm so mad that I'm that bad.
Yeah.
It's happened multiple times. I've monkey pawed and then thrown it in. But yeah, that's what I did. I got to see my family. It was an awesome weekend. Spent the whole weekend up there, and now I'm back in Phoenix, just kind of practicing up for the Memorial. Beautiful weather, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the season starting. I'm finally feeling healthy, which is good.
Yep.
I'm getting some power back. I'm able
How's
to
old
practice.
Wobble doing?
What's that?
How's old Wobble doing?
You know, he's getting strong. He's getting strong.
Damn, I gave your kneecap.
Yeah, I'm not missing left as much with all my shots, and I'm getting stronger, man. I'm excited for the season. It seems like I'm getting healthy at the right time, which is good.
Good. I've been up to Sholo before, so I can definitely attest that that's a beautiful place, and it's always a fun weekend. Definitely a good weekend to catch up on any card games and just hanging out and taking it easy and being lazy on lazy boy recliners and nice leather couches, and yeah, it's a good.
Yeah, my parents have like the most comfortable
house
as far as like
God.
comfort that I think there is. No place like home's an understatement when you talk about my parents' house. Like he said, lazy boys everywhere.
You can run as fast as you can and just jump in any direction, and you're gonna land into something soft. It's just like it's amazing. I love that place. As for myself, I have been gearing up to hit the road on Friday. Austin Turner and I are leaving Charlotte Friday morning, and did a little putting league in Charlotte. Our putting league is one of the best putting leagues, I have to say, in the world. I don't know if there's a bigger one than the one that we run every week. And if there is one, they need to step up or at least let it be known, because we during the good season, we're bringing in like 70 players a night. So it's pretty awesome sometimes. And we've had upwards of 120. So that's always a good thing to do. But I got to play Renaissance today with my good buddy Dennis Young, and my body felt great. I parked this par 4 hole 2. It's like a 500 something foot par 4, and I threw like pure hyzer, and it felt great to be able to rip. My legs haven't been as quick as I'd like them to be lately, just because I've been dealing with the pinched nerve and all that, and to be able to lean into a shot like that and to put that close was really awesome. And so my body felt really great today, and like if that holds up, I'm really, really excited. I shot like a 7 down today, and I missed 6 putts, and I had 3 bogeys. So clean those things up, and I would have had a new course record. But felt good, man. I'm excited to be leaving.
Do you think your knee's like kind of injured because of making fun of my knee with your stupid wobbly thing you do?
Actually, my knee is perfectly fine, and I only have temporary knee problems, unlike your wobbly knee. My knee just kind of like swells up for a second once in my life, and then it's done. So I don't think it has anything to do with karma, although I definitely deserve it with all the shit I give your knee. That's for sure. Brady, did you
what about you, Brady?
Or no?
I went trout fishing, and then I thought about playing disc golf a couple times, and that was it.
That's right.
Nice.
So I looked for my bag.
You mean trout fishing like through the icebergs?
No,
Iceberg fishing, or whatever.
We have running little creeks and streams in northeast Iowa where it's like spring fed, and it runs like and it just doesn't freeze ever. It's pretty fun. We caught like 75 trout.
Are you sure they're not frozen? You know that you're in Iowa in February.
No, I'm positive. It's running so fast that the water really can't freeze. All the other stuff's frozen still, which sucks.
What would you know about running fast? You might be the slowest person I've ever seen in my life.
I didn't throw up during our half-court basketball game, though.
Touche.
And I seem to remember me and Zach Melton putting a hurting on you the last time I was in Arizona. So
you're talking about a standstill
you guys broke my ribs.
Standstill shooting game. You're talking about standing still. I'm not talking about running.
Well, it was mobile. We were mobile. We were a very mobile team.
I remember the first time that you challenged me to a basketball game for $50, and you pretty much threw up on us, Brady.
Yeah, if I did that again, I would not have made it through the first 3 points.
All right, are we going to talk about something that people want to listen to or no? This is terrible.
I was thinking no.
Featured cards.
Featured cards? What's your question about featured cards?
Do you feel like they influence the tournament in an unnatural way by stacking the deck at the top, or should it be random? What's your guys' thoughts?
Oh, it certainly is a benefit to those players who are on the featured card, and it certainly is almost unfair, but I would never say that we should take it away. I think that the number one and most important thing right now that we have going for us in a sport is we have a lot of momentum, and it's being built from media. And if we can generate excitement every single round with having people come out, spectators, and being able to post the rounds online and having people watch, view, share, etc., that is nothing but positive. And I hate to say it, but if you don't have big names on the featured card first round, people just aren't tuning in. If you have one good player and you have, 2 or 3 relatively unknown players, people just aren't going to watch that video. And it just it's the way that the business is right now. So getting fans involved to vote, what they're doing right now with the memorial, I think it's a good thing overall. But certainly for those players you're playing with somebody who's throwing into the water, 5 or 6 times around or missing putts left and right, and you're waiting to get to your lie, it's a much bigger advantage if you can watch good golf and you can get pushed by seeing people play well first round. And so it's a tricky situation. And until there's more of an equal distribution of talent at the top across the board, it's going to be that way for a while. But I still think we should have it in our sport. What do you think, Paul?
No, I like them for sure. There's something to be said about the unfair advantage for sure of playing in a group like that. But at the same time, I know a lot of people who kind of fold when they play on a featured card. So it could be both unfair for somebody to just kind of be thrown to the wolves and then have all that attention and stuff if they're not ready for something like that, like 1,000 rated player, 1,010 rated player. It can definitely be an unfair advantage for them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think the one thing that I would like to see, honestly, for the featured card, and I've said this a few times, is I think that the tee time should be random. I don't think that they should be allowed to go at the end every single time. I think that if you're going to have a featured card, make it a random tee time like everybody else. So maybe they have to tee off at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. Because teeing off at that time is typically the best time to tee off in a day. I mean, you get your rest, you get to wake up on your actual schedule, you get to go to the field and actually have time to practice and stuff like that. And if you have a 9 a.m. tee time, you're waking up at 6 a.m., breakfast, you're tired, you go to the field to practice, it's wet, you're not getting a good practice, it's colder. Typically, it's just that in my opinion is definitely unfair.
What do you? I guess you guys want my take on it. I think that the featured cards are great for publicity and they are great for the promotion of the game. But I think in the true aspect and realm of how a tournament is played, I don't totally agree with stacking the 4 typically best players that are just going to push them. So I mean, you look at the featured card; these guys are going off usually, unless somebody gets stuck on there who doesn't really belong, and it can elevate scores for guys that are on the featured card when you've got a guy who's dealing with somebody on his card who sucks. I think it should be random draw and random tee time, but I understand why they do it, if that makes sense. Like you guys kind of both said.
Well, I don't think that the players who are killing it on league cards are typically going, for the most part, are the players who are going to consistently shoot those hot rounds regardless. I don't think that their game, they're so used to, at that point, when you get to that certain skill level, you're not really that affected by your environment as much as other players are. I mean, You can be, certainly, but I think for the most part, the reason that those players are so skilled is because they've learned how to block outside elements out of becoming a distraction for their game.
And use it to your advantage. I know when I play on featured cards, there's a different level of focus, for sure. And I typically play better, but at the same time,
Exactly, you play better when you got.
Well, I was
right,
right,
but at the same time,
that
like me and
was
Jerm have played thousands and thousands of, well, I don't know, thousands, but yeah, thousands of tournament rounds, and we understand the environment. Like he's saying, we understand how to block out those unnecessary extra distractions, and we typically play better with that type of environment. To whereas if you were to throw 1,010 rated player on that card, they're not going to probably shoot as well. Now you put Macbeth on a different random card, you put Eagle on a different random card, and Simon, most likely they're going to all be playing together at the end of the tournament anyway.
Right.
It's not like, in fact, I think it'd be interesting if we could get our numbers guy to maybe do a little background check to see if it is in fact a advantage to play on the featured card, or if it's not.
Didn't we actually fire him, or what?
Paul fired him.
Oh, okay.
I fired him, yeah.
Okay. Well,
So to see if we can hire him back.
To counter your point earlier, Paul, about the random tee time, I think that the reason that wouldn't necessarily work, if you're gonna do a feature card, I think one of the major points is that you have spectators. So if you do it early, you're not going to get that right there. And
I think it's more media thing now. I think it's more videoing, honestly, than people actually coming out and watching for at least the first round. I'm saying the first round. Of course, the second round, the guys are going to be on the feature card. They're going to be filmed, whoever's on the lead card. But the first round, I mean, there's not going to be a humongous gallery anyway. And if there is, it's typically people who are done playing already.
Yeah, it's usually
it's
players.
Not even people who, it's not people who came out to watch typically. It's more, I'm saying is, I think a featured card for the first round is more for filming than anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And I think that, that's interesting. And, I think that maybe the Pro Tour realized that I don't know if they made a mistake by not having a simultaneous voting process with the women, but they corrected. I don't want to say mistake. Maybe they were planning on doing it after they had started the open voting. But I did see that they released a female voting. I guess that anytime you talk about equality in disc golf in terms of gender, it becomes a really interesting subject, and it can be very controversial. And because you take in the numbers of the relation between men and women in the sport, and you want to, obviously the top women are, and any pro women, like that is an amazing accomplishment to get to that level, and especially when you get to the super touring level that you see with the women today. But it becomes an interesting topic talking about how everyone needs to do a better job to equally promote women's disc golf and men's disc golf. It's a really interesting turning point in our game right now, that we're seeing a lot of mistreatment of women in terms of they're not quite getting the same opportunities, and or maybe not just opportunities, maybe it's just exposure. And but anyways, I guess basically I think the Pro Tour did a good job by making sure that they had a voting process for the women as well, to make sure that they didn't feel like they were being overlooked. But yeah, I'm curious what kind of numbers they're pulling in, like when they have the featured card for the women. Do they plan? I'm guessing they're planning on having people out there filming as well, because if not, then what's the point? Is the featured card for women first round just about the opportunity to play on that featured card, or is it about media exposure, or is it about spectators, or I don't know. What do you have to say about that?
No, I think I might have misspoke earlier when I said that there wouldn't be people actually out to watch the featured card. Of course, there's going to be people, but in terms of numbers, it won't be as significant as it would be like a second day 2 o'clock tee time with the leaders.
Of course, clearly,
of course. So, and as far as the women, I know people go out to watch them too.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing for our game is to have that coverage also. So, I'm sure they'll be filmed.
And it's not just women.
To what extent?
There's right. Which
exactly.
is really
I'm sure they'll be filmed to the extent of exactly what's going on. I don't know, so I don't want to misspeak on their behalf. But I know that, like you said, the Pro Tour is doing a good job of making that stuff happen, and it's just as important as featured card with the men. Now, as far as the numbers, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like they just don't have the numbers right now, and hopefully, with all the stuff that the sport's going through right now, that'll change. And hopefully that the turn that the sport's made on their behalf will help change it, for sure. So
here's a question I want to pose to you guys, and this may open up a longer line of discussion than we've anticipated. But do you think that we need to promote women's disc golf in a model that is we need to grow men's disc golf to be so big that then women disc golf is also successful, similar to the NBA model? Or are you thinking women's disc golf needs to be equally promoted and maybe separate entities and equal promotion, equal stuff like you see with tennis and golf, where women have seen a lot more success as far as tournament payouts and popularity and advertising stuff? What kind of model do you think we should go with for promoting women?
In a perfect world,
yeah.
In a perfect world, they would want to have a separate tour and their own stuff, of course. And hopefully someday they'll be able to get to that point with the help of what's going on right now. But right now, that's just not even an option.
Yeah, that's not logistic.
We're not even like I don't even see a world right now where that happens.
But I'm saying there's going to be a point where it's got to be kind of decided which way it's going to go. Is it going to be Disc Golf World Tour UC Vision, where he wants to build disc golf as a whole and bring more so men and then also women? Or are you thinking the separate but equal approach that sometimes isn't equal? That's what I'm asking.
And disc golf is switching in different areas. It's not just the women and the men, because this year we're seeing it happen even on a different level as far as all divisions. Like the World Championships completely split from the Masters division. They don't even play the same courses as us. They don't have the same tournament as us as far as the World Championships go. So you could make the same argument for them. Are they going to have to split off from our tour as well? And yes, like I said, in a perfect world, there's going to be a LPDGA tour. There's going to be a senior tour, and then there's going to be the PDGA tour. But that's like in my mind, that's so far off that I don't know if I'd be able to see that in my playing time. Hopefully in my lifetime, yes, but in my playing time, we've come so long to get to the place that we are right now. Like we were talking a couple weeks ago, that this is further than I could have ever imagined disc golf taking off as far as it has. So,
yep.
Like I said, in a perfect world, I know that they would love to have their own tour and to be promoted as such, equally and all that stuff. But it's got to take baby steps, and I feel like the way that it's happening right now is a good start.
I think one thing, if you don't mind me jumping in, Jerem, the problem with some promotion in disc golf is that it's driven by people who are looking to make money. I know me as a tournament director, I've never had a woman come play my events in Iowa, and I ran quite a few, so I know who I'm catering to. Do you think that might be pigeonholing us a little bit with guys who are are just kind of looking to make money. And recently, the last couple of years, we've had guys like Steve Dodge and UC come in who are doing it for huge promotion. But if you get down to a mid-level or smaller level, it's people who this is their business, and it's not like a TV money coming in or advertising money coming in. It's really just off disc sales. Is that, you think, kind of pigeonholing some of the women's growth and progression, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at there.
What are you saying? What?
I'm saying, do you
Brady,
think...
I think I'm following you. I think in a nutshell, I think that it's a smaller level in all sports as far as numbers go and females competing against each other.
Well, yeah, at least certainly most sports. I wouldn't say all, but yeah, certainly
No,
most.
yeah, of course. Most sports, it's just not as big, and with disc golf, I think that the numbers just aren't there. So it'd be tough to kind of pinpoint, like what you're saying. Like, is it a small tournament? Could you do better? I'm sure you could. I'm sure you, as a tournament director, could do better to promote women to coming to your tournament and stuff. But like you said, who are you going to reach out to? How many women could you reach out to in Iowa? How many women actually play?
Right. So I'm only promoting really to men, because in Iowa, that's who's playing. I think that's some of the problem, is that these guys know how to get guys to their tournaments, and they're trying to make money off guys, and they're not focusing on what can we do to get more, because women money and promotion spends the same as a guy's. I'd love to have 10, 15 women come into my events, because like that's more people playing my events. But what I'm saying is, how do we break that? And and obviously more players.
I think that as a business person, like, and which is, I would say, the majority of tournament directors who do it for a profit are business people, and that's just something they enjoy doing. They enjoy running an event that people can play, but you have to be honest with your numbers. You're a business person, and you have to treat it like a business. And when the numbers are clearly in favor of promoting specific men or focusing on that, you got to go with that. Now, if you were a promoter of disc golf, if you were to be more in the general sense of how do you grow the game, not
Right.
just how you make your events bigger so that you can pay for rent and pay for college, then that's a completely different issue, because at that point you start focusing on how can you get more women to tournaments, how can you promote women's disc golf, how can you start a league, how can you get these women to come out of their shells, because there's women in your area that play disc golf, they just don't play tournaments. And,
for sure.
And the culture is different in Iowa than it is in Charlotte. Charlotte, we have a lot of women that play disc golf, and at our putting league every Tuesday night, there's no less than 10 women that show up out of the 60 or 70, like, every week. So there's and that's just putting league. Like, they're showing up with the guys and holding their own and drinking beers with us, and like, they're not shy. And I don't know.
Most tournaments have a lot of women that play. They're just all spread out in different divisions too. I know that I've heard an argument before about there being too many divisions for the women. I don't know if that is a problem, but in a tournament you'll see, what is it, like, I've seen before maybe 20 women in the tournament, but they're all spread out in different divisions, like women's rec, women's intermediate, women's advanced, and they're typically shooting around the same scores.
Right.
But they're all spread out in different divisions. And
yeah, that's an interesting argument that I've heard a lot about, and I think that there's definitely some merit to it.
That's not fair. I mean, that's going to discourage women from playing if you say you got two choices here. I mean, they should have the same.
No, see, here's the problem with that, Brady, because think about this. When disc golf started, there was one division. You just played disc golf. You sign up for a tournament and you played. And it worked for a while. That system worked, that model worked, and they did it until eventually there was a need for a disparity in divisions. There was a need to have a pro division and a amateur division. And I think maybe even at first there was pro and then masters. And then I think amateur came later. And then they started breaking off into more divisions as tournaments got bigger, as the fields became bigger, and the skill level was more separated. But women's disc golf is still at a point where it's really at that original state, when disc golf was kind of starting with tournaments in terms of numbers of players, where there's really just a need for. Now, clearly, there's a need for two divisions. I don't think that a brand new female should be going against Paige Pierce or Katrina Allen or Madison Walker or Sarah Hokum or you name them. But I don't think that there's necessarily a need for 6 divisions or 4 divisions or whatever. I think that there should be an advanced and an open until there is a logical need for more divisions than that. You're basically breaking apart what is already somewhat broken apart, because there isn't the numbers that you need to facilitate more than 2 divisions.
Yeah,
now,
hey,
you can have a master's division as well, but I think that I think it's an interesting push that they should consider, or that some tournaments should consider.
hey, Jeremiah, I gotta run. I know we talked about this, but you guys should definitely keep rolling on what we were talking about, and I will catch everyone next week.
Yeah, don't apologize to me. Apologize to your fans.
I have none, so we're good.
All right, Brady. Thanks for everything, man. Thank you.
Hey,
So
boys.
much.
See you, Brady.
So are we done?
Well, I guess that wraps it up for us.
No, yes.
And you make good points, Jeremy, and I completely agree. It's just I feel like, honestly, when I'm talking about this, I'm kind of tiptoeing through, walking on glass of sorts, because I don't want to say the wrong thing or something like that. So on the show, we are just brainstorming with everybody, and I think those are all great points that we made. And I think really what it comes down to is what the Pro Tour and what they're doing right now with women's disc golf is amazing, and I think it can only help their division grow. So hats off to them for sure.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, because it's difficult as a male in the sport to really take the perspective of all the problems that females are facing. And I certainly understand that I'm in the very best position you could possibly be in the sport. I'm in a position where I'm well known, and I am a male, and I play open, and every tournament besides like the amateur tournaments offers my division, and I feel I've got a place in every tournament I play, and I can't say the same thing for women, and it's really difficult for me to understand that perspective. So speaking on it is, basically just from my observations and talking with, some of my best friends, Madison Walker and Paige Pierce and, Katrina Allen and the other women in the sport who, give me a little bit of the insight with the frustrations that they see. And honestly, this is such a hot topic, especially right now with everything that happened with, Valerie Jenkins this season, and just in general, what equal rights and for all.
Yeah, last year with UC not having the division and then adding it, and like you said, it's just a hot topic, a lot of
always
controversy, and
it will be until we find a way to make sure that everyone is treated as fairly and as equal as possible. And it's something that we should probably have a guest, a female guest on our show, and we should actually take this topic a little bit further, just to kind of get some of their suggestions on what's right and what's wrong in the game right now from their perspective. So we'll definitely have to address that. If you guys, the fans, the listeners, if you guys have a favorite that you guys like, send Paul, Brady, or myself a private message on Facebook and let us know who you'd like to hear from, and always keep sending those questions in. We're gonna try to field questions every other episode, and if there's a big enough need or a desire for it, maybe we'll start fielding questions every episode. But definitely give us some of your insights on what's going on in the game, what you guys see is right or wrong, and we definitely should talk about this more because it's such an important thing for the growth of the game. Male disc golf is just exploding. You look at the growth every single year is growing by 19%. That's astronomical in any business, and
Yeah, it's really absurd.
it's incredible. But that growth is, I mean, I'm just throwing out a number here, but I'm just saying, I'm guessing that growth is at least 95 to 98% male. And I could be totally wrong with that, so don't hold me to that. But that's just from my observation. It seems like there's never a shortage of new guys on tour, and rarely ever do we see a new female on tour. Or even,
yeah, I mean, to really put it into perspective for everybody out there, imagine going to a tournament and there being 3 people to compete against.
and
because that's
the same 3 people.
And because that's typically what they do every single weekend. And obviously the touring women, they don't do that. They play against 10 to 12 to 15 to 20, 30 maximum most of the time divisions. Right. And for us, for me to think about going to a tournament and there only being a 3-person division, like, hats off to those women, because I don't know if I'd be able to do it.
Superstars.
Absolutely. And so
they're
like,
stubborn. Oh my God, they're so stubborn. I couldn't do it.
To be able to do that and to keep at it. I mean,
yep.
They're paving the way for the next generation.
Yep.
And so they should, all you women who play out there should really be proud of yourselves, because what you're doing is not easy.
And honestly, the women in the game now, I mean, like, you're looking at the career earnings for players like Paige and Katrina, who've been, the top 2 players for the last, arguably, and Val too. I haven't said her name enough in this episode. But you look at their career earnings, just going back the last 5 seasons, and Val, you can go back the last 10 seasons. I mean, they're making money. If you go back further to Elaine King and Juliana Corver and Leslie Todd and Des Redding and, the women who basically were doing it before the women are doing it now. I mean, it's incredible. Like, their love for the game is way stronger than mine. And I love this game. I mean, to think about what they're doing and to be able to show that passion to come out and, like, the people who are barely getting by and still coming out. It reminds me of, like, when I was barely making ends meet with disc golf. Yeah, I guess I kind of still am, but when I was really struggling for cash, and I was cashing every tournament, but it was just enough to get to the next event. Like, that was when I knew for sure, like, how much I love the game, because I was like, it doesn't matter that I'm not, like, financially saving up money and, like, being responsible for the future. I'm doing what I love first and foremost. And it's so clear that that's exactly what they're doing every single week.
You can talk about a top 20 woman, like a woman who's ranks 20th in the world. They're not making enough money.
Oh God.
There's no way.
Top 10.
And that's top 20 in the world on the planet. And they're not making enough, I feel like, to even survive on tour.
Madison Walker just went to Australia, which is as far away as you can get from America, and it's very expensive. And she got 3rd place at a major and made like $300. And you tell me if that, I mean, like, that's, that's not great. That's not even close to great.
That's not good.
And so, we got to do some stuff. We got to figure some stuff out as a community, because disc golf is too great to overlook half of the sex that plays the game,
Yeah.
So anyways, there's a lot of great things going on in the sport, though. And in general, I think we all know that there's that excitement and rush. We all feel it. We all see all the growth that's growing around us. But it's
and then how great is it to have those women, and how good they are to be the face of the sport. I mean, it's just good. Like you said, there's a lot of good things also that goes with that. And
yeah. That's good stuff.
But what else you want to talk about, Jeremy? It looks like Brady left us. I'm sure by this point, our 6 listeners probably left us.
Or down to 5.
At least.
Brady doesn't think there's any fans out there. If you guys are a fan of Brady Hanna, then send us a message with your favorite Brady Hanna quote from the show, and we will read that quote out on the next episode. And I can guarantee you this will not happen.
Oh my gosh.
No,
So Jeremy, you excited for the national tour in Vegas? And
yeah, man, I think it's crazy. You know, last year everyone was talking about how Vegas wants a national tour. They want to take it from the Memorial, and I'm thinking in the back of my head, these Vegas people have been in Vegas too long. Like, they're crazy. Like, Vegas has gotten to them. There's clearly something wrong with them. But no, they were right, man. It's crazy. Like, Vegas is about to have a national tour. Like, how weird is that? Like, Memorial's the national tour, right? Like, that's the one you always start off with, and Vegas is just kind of like a fun secondary option. You know, you can start the tournament off or your touring season with Vegas, or you can just focus on the Memorial. Well, they switched things up this year on us, and so
but to talk a little bit about the Pro Tour, I feel now that if you win a Pro Tour, it's the same as if you win a national tour.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is. It's just so new that it's like the prestige isn't quite there yet. But it was like
I feel like it is almost.
Well, it is because of the media. But what I'm saying is, like, when you won a national tour, back when the national tour was brand new, it still was just kind of like a super tour or an A tier. You know,
Right.
Nowadays, you win a national tour, you're like, that was a huge deal. That may have been a once in a lifetime. I mean, I can say for myself, when I won the Vibram Open in 2014, I was thinking to myself, like, I can win any given weekend, but there's a good chance I might not ever be back at this stage. You know, I might not ever win a national tour ever again for the rest of my life. And I've really embraced it. And I don't feel that way. I think I've won 8 A tiers now. And to me, it's great, but like, I kind of relate Pro Tours and A tiers at this point because the Pro Tours are so new, even though it's not fair because of how Steve
when you throw the Memorial name in on a Pro Tour,
that's then it doesn't.
I'm saying.
No.
As far as that, then
right.
I still consider it a national tour, even though
absolutely
it's an A tier, but it's the Memorial. You know, we're gonna
just
have
like the Majestic
it's
last
usually,
year.
Well, no, it's gonna be. I think every single year, it's one of the most stacked fields in disc golf. Out of all the tournaments, the Memorial has, probably besides Worlds and USDGC, more people travel to play this tournament than any other tournament, I think. Maybe GBO.
Yeah, no, it's right up there. I mean, there's certainly, I know several years that the Memorial has hosted more international players in the Open division than the World Championships did.
Right.
So, it's certainly the time of year being the beginning of March, and Phoenix is just, I mean, you can't find a better place to be at the beginning of March than Phoenix, Arizona. It's just, it is the spot. If you haven't checked it out, just do it already. You got to go next year, sign up, be early because it fills up quick, and go. You got to do it. It's just it's a special place to be. You know, like the courses are, they're good. They're really good courses. It's not like a course is going to change the way you think about disc golf, but they're great courses. But it's just being there, and
there's just staples of the tour.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's certainly like I know for sure when I won that one, it didn't feel like a national tour. It felt like the 5th major in a 4 major season. You know,
right?
It certainly felt like
there'd be no other tournament that I'd rather win besides like the World Championship, USDGC, and then of course the Memorial, my hometown.
Yeah, that's definitely up there. So it's gonna, of course I'm excited, and I'm really pumped for Austin Turner. Also, he's 18 years old, and the world's gonna get to see this kid play, and they're gonna hopefully you'll be able to hang out with us and become friends with him because he is just a goofy, funny kid. He's always smiling. He has a lot of charisma, and he's got a ton of talent. And so, I know Discraft's really excited about him finally getting out on the road on a full-time basis. And this is new for me, man, because this is the first time I've ever left home and not known when I was going to come back. The tour really doesn't bring any big events through Charlotte or through the Southeast region where it's close enough to really swing by home. And I know it's kind of a normal thing for you and for Kat to just get in the car and just leave, and then you'll come back maybe in October, maybe sometime before then, maybe. For me, it's never been like that before, so I'm a little bit anxious about it in a way, but I'm also really excited too.
Yeah, last year I left after the Memorial, did not come back to Arizona till after the USDGC.
That has got to be such a strange feeling, but who knows? Maybe it's going to be like that this year for us. Well, I really have no idea right now. But yeah.
Well, what about this? What about just one more question about that little swing, Vegas Memorial? Yeah. The one thing that I'm disappointed in about that little swing to start the year off is you have a 2-day break before you play another tournament.
Oh, man. You said one little quick thing. I could talk on this one for a long time.
I think it should be spread out. I really do. And I love to have back-to-back big tournaments.
Yep.
But maybe there needs to be a rule that if you have back-to-back tournaments, that they need to be 3-round tournaments so that you can have a resting period in the middle, because essentially you're going to be playing disc golf for 15 straight days, hard disc golf, 15 straight days.
Yep.
That's if you get to Vegas on Monday, you play, there's 3 courses you have to play and practice. So that's at least 2 days, if not 3 days. Then you play the tournament, you play all 4 rounds, 4 days. Then you get in the car, you have a traveling day to Arizona, and basically you'll have 1 day to practice for the Memorial, 3 courses again for 4 rounds.
Well, to be fair, most players are traveling Sunday night and then they're giving themselves 2 days to practice, but it's still 2 days to practice 3 courses, and again, you're going right back at it. It's too much.
Right, there's no breaks. There's no breaks.
And the thing is, this is where the PDGA, I don't know how much they can really step in, because I'm not sure what logistical issues the TDs are facing at each one of those events. But what seems to make sense to me, if you're going to run 2 4-day tournaments back to back, and one of them is going to start on a Wednesday and end on a Saturday, and the other is going to start on a Thursday and end on a Sunday, that Vegas should be the one starting on Wednesday, ending on Saturday, giving the players Saturday night to travel, and you have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to practice 3 courses, and then Thursday also, or a Wednesday as well, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Memorial. Those 2 events are too closely lined up for them to not work together for people's schedule. I understand for a long time the Memorial was the big deal, and that was the main show, and they wanted to give people a chance to get home on Sunday, to give them a travel day to get back home for work and whatever. The game is changing, and we need to stop catering so much for that travel day for people who are not touring as professionals. Like, I think that if you're going to run a professional tournament, if you're going to run an amateur tournament, a 4-day amateur tournament, do Wednesday through Saturday. That makes sense, because these people do have other jobs. But when you're talking
pro tour, national tour, exactly,
you need to focus. Then we need to start standardizing our tournaments so that we are catering to players who are pros. This division isn't mixed pro, mixed, this guy's actually an accountant. I mean, it is. That's what it is. But that's not what we should be catering to. The Professional Disc Golf Association and these tournaments need to be focused on the professional players. That's the point of running these events. It's not. I don't know if we're logistically at that point in the TD's eyes, but as a player, that's my perspective, and I think that we're certainly at the point where we need to consider that as an option. And certainly the 2 events need to work together, because having 2 days to practice the Memorial after playing 4 days in Vegas, I mean, I know you didn't play Wild Horse last year. I did. And that's a lot of long golf shots. Your body needs a break. You have no break whatsoever, mental, physical, nothing. And that includes a 6-hour drive to get from Vegas to Phoenix. I mean, you're asking a lot on your body at that point, and it just that question needs to be brought up to somebody who can actually make a difference. I can certainly offer my opinionated feedback to a tournament director, but I can't really make that much change. Whereas the PDGA, I feel like, has more of a say in that matter. I don't know. Maybe I have more pull than I think, but I don't know. It's certainly asking a lot on us, and yeah, that's a tough one. That's really difficult. Fortunately, we don't have to deal with that too much on tour. That seems to be the one place where it really comes in play. But yeah.
Well, I remember a couple of years back, we went to Europe and we played back-to-back majors.
Back-to-back majors. And then we flew back home, and then there was the World Championships.
Yeah. We had like 3 majors in a month. It was nuts.
Yeah. And yeah, that's, your body's not meant to handle that kind of pressure.
Your mind isn't meant to have that. I mean, let's say we make the lead card for every single round of Vegas Memorial. Your mind's going to be fried.
Mm-hmm.
Well, mine, I concentrate a lot when I get in a situation like that. Like, at the end of a tournament that I've typically played well, I'm more tired than when I didn't play well.
Absolutely. Yeah. My favorite thing to do after a win, especially a big win, is to go home and sleep. Like, I want to go party, but at the same time, I'm like, no, I just need a rest. Like, can everyone just like give me like, I don't know, 3 hours to just basically lie down and just like recoup my mind, because my mind is zapped right now.
Just go in the shower and cry. That's what you probably do.
Germ won, but I'm pretty sure I hear him in the shower crying right now.
Where's Germ at?
That's how he's
crying. He won again.
How did Germ do? Well, do you hear him? Oh, yeah, he's crying.
Really well.
Hey, he must have played great. Oh, man. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in to this week. I don't even know what episode we're on anymore, 5 or 6. Either way, definitely excited to bring you the last non-on-tour 2 Pros and Average Joe. From here on out, the perspective is going to be in season mode. And so we really get to talk about some of the tour life stuff once we get to see all our friends and get the action going. So we'll definitely be excited to keep you guys up to date with what's going on with us. And anything else you want to add, Paul?
No, I mean, that's it. Yeah, I mean, we're just getting ready for the season, and hey, maybe we'll even be able to do a show together.
Yeah, that would be great. We should definitely do a live show, and next week would probably be possible. So, all right, everyone.
All right, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Yep, later.